Okay folks, today we're going to talk about what kind of disc should you use for your overhand shots and how to test out what's going to work best for you right after the intro. Okay folks, I'm a firm believer in testing out theories and figuring out things for yourself. And one of the best things you can do is, I have 3 mid-ranges that are overstable, super overstable, straight, and understable. And so now if I want to know what's the best disc for throwing overhands, or how do I get different shot shapes throwing overhands, whether that's a tomahawk or a thumber, should I be throwing understable or should I be throwing overstable? How is the disc going to fly? Well, this is a perfect way to test it out. So I'm going to show you right here, right now, what the different disc stability, how it will affect your overhand shots. All right, so I'm not gonna do these full power because it's just showing you, the principle of it. I'm not trying to go for super long, and that's the thing. We're just testing these out. So I'm gonna throw right at that basket. I'm gonna start with a thumber, and I've just got my thumb cocked in here, and I'm gonna throw it, and I'm gonna try to throw each one of these. I'm not gonna throw perfectly straight. I'm gonna throw them at about, that's the angle that I'm gonna be trying to work on. Just releasing right here, and we're gonna see the amount of twist they have in them depending on their stability. Okay, here's the first one. Just kind of held it. All right, now here we have just the neutral disc. Not really showing a lot difference there. All right, now the understable. Yeah, I thought that'd work out better. It didn't really. So my theory may be wrong, that it's not so much about the stability, that helps some, but the type of disc. Because let's face it, these are all 3 mid-ranges. You may get more of a difference of result for the faster disc. All right, let's try it with the tomahawk. These I'm gonna try to release right here. Not a lot of turn. Ooh, hurt my arm too. Got it higher, but a little more turn. And even a slightly more turn. It's kind of going opposite of what you would think. I think the more understable they are, the more they're going to want to twist. Okay, let me grab a couple other discs. Okay, we're gonna try this again. And I've got 4 9-speeds. Real flippy Valkyrie, a pretty straight flyer, little flippy. And to be honest, these are about the same probably. I've got overstable and overstable. We're just gonna see how they go. All right, I'm gonna try the same shots. Just coming overhead. Got basically one whole rotation. Whew, I can't do too many of these with my shoulder. Huh. Just basically one rotation. Now even though this is a, so this is almost basically like a Firebird. It's very stable. All right. Okay, it's funny. I keep forgetting this. I needed to do this myself. That proved it out with those. The more stable the disc is, the longer it held that vertical. It didn't flip as much. Whereas, and that makes perfect sense if I think about it that way, and you should too. The more flippy the disc, the more they're going to twist in the air. And so what that means, if you're trying to make a shot to bank more towards the right with a thumber, coming this way, you're going to want to have a more flippy disc to be able to get more action, whereas if you're just throwing it with an overstable disc, it's going to hold it longer before it pans out. That's good to know. I need to know that. That's the thing is, guys, if you're like me, you need to get your hands on this stuff. I've heard people talk about it, but it doesn't make sense until I get out and actually throw it and figure it out. And that's what we got to do out here. So now we know, hopefully we know, get out and try it for yourself. Overhand shots the more flippy the discs, the more they're going to twist and give you more action in the air. Whereas the more stable they are, the more they're going to hold a line and not be as twisty. Oftentimes I'm needing that forehand to get around the corner and drop into a spot. Like I use it on hole 4 and hole 8. And I need to remember to use the understable, not the overstable. Let's take a break out to talk about the overhand. When you're throwing a thumber, the twist is, if you're right-handed, the twist is off to the right. So it's just like you're throwing a forehand. So when I throw it, it's going to go up and it's going to corkscrew and fight back to the right. Whereas if I throw a tomahawk, it's going to do the opposite and fight back to the left. And you would think, oh, okay, if it's doing the same thing, overstable, go to the right. No, it's actually kind of the opposite. It's weird, but I'm sure there's physics to explain it. Anyway, let's go grab them. All right, folks, I'm going to continue on with my search for trying to figure out what's the best disc for overhand shots and whether stability makes a big difference in how they fly. So I've got a whole bag of 9-speed discs. They're from the, these are all Innova, so I go from the Roadrunner all the way to the Firebird, and I'm going to see how each one of them does and see if I can pick up a pattern of stability in the way that they fly. Let's see what we can do with them. I'm going to start with the Roadrunner. I'm going to try to throw these straight on line with a little height. See what they do. Now the Sidewinder. Valkyries. Oh, well, I got height on that one. That was terrible. Interesting. My arm can't keep this up. I think I threw that one flat and pushed it over. There's some wind coming in now that may be helping push to the right. Yeah, I feel like the wind's grabbing it right as I'm throwing it, so it's pushing a little right. But hopefully we can see kind of the twisting. That's why I want to look at the twisting of the disc, whether there's any faster, more spin, or if they're just kind of all doing the same thing and it's just about my release. Because the question is, when you're in the woods and you need to make that throw and have it cut back hard around the corner, like on hole number 9, do you want something flippy or do you want something stable to get the flight you want? Or does it not really matter as much about the disc, but the angle and the snap that you release it on? So let's go find out. So you can definitely start to see a trend. The more stable stuff ended up over on the right, and the less stable stuff ended on the left, and it felt like it twisted more. It wanted to barrel roll more than the stuff on the right. So we're gonna have to do a second round of this, but my arm can only take so much so far, but this is good gathering data, and hopefully we can get some good ideas about which disc to throw when and how much action you get off of them depending on the stability. So let's just keep playing. All right guys, well I'm back out here trying to figure out this overhand stability, which one's better for what kind of action. I really do believe the flippy disc is going to get more action, so like if you need to get around a corner, that's going to be your shot, whereas if you need it to carry further, you want something more stable. So I've got, once again, a whole slew of ranges of 9 speeds from very flippy to overstable, and we're going to try it out. A little update, I'm really liking this Mojo riser. I played a doubles tournament on Sunday at Inverness with all these hills, and it did great. It was wet and rainy. I didn't have to worry about my my towels getting wet at all. So anyway, and it's a great practice riser. Get your disc up a little closer so you're not bending over as much. So now we're going to throw a few, see what goes on. Okay, now because of the shadows, it's probably hard to see. So I'm going right at that basket, but really we're just going to track the flight of the disc. So it doesn't matter. I'm trying to do this nice and straight. I've got the drone up. Hopefully I can get some good aerial footage of this. Now, I haven't warmed up, and I brought old John out here to help me out, and he walks up, first thing he says is, oh, my shoulder's hurting. I don't know if I could do this. We may get him to throw a few, but I was bringing out the iron shoulder because he is Mr. Overhand, and he's letting me down. So I'm going to start Roadrunner. I'm going to start understable and work my way through. I'm just going to throw these, get them up in the air, and throw them right at the basket. Oh, that first one did not feel good at all. And I'm not trying to get to the basket, I'm just trying to get a normal flight. That one a little low. Yeah, we aren't going to get many of these throws today. Good corkscrew there. Now we're going to move on to the Valkyrie. One more Valkyrie. It's funny, that Valkyrie's a little more stable, and it felt like it didn't twist as much. Now we're going to the Thunderbird. So a slower twist, but it carries further. And this dang Thunderbird, I need to wear down the edges because it's sharp. Got that one a little lower. Now the Firebird. All right, John, come here. As a casual observer from behind, what'd you notice as I went from understable to overstable?
First one's flipped a lot more.
The understable flipped a lot more. Now they all landed in the general area, but they were pulling to the right, whereas the overstable stuff held longer and ended up a little bit more to the left.
I agree.
And I also feel like they carried more, got a little more distance on it. So you think that's a good adjudication of the situation?
Yeah.
I'm trying to use big words to impress people. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first throw because my arm was going, what's going on? But the understable ended up pulling more to the right at the end, finishing with more spin to the right. And then we can see as they got more stable, they tended to go over to the left here. Now you're always, because of your release point and stuff like that, I think there's going to be some difference to that, but notice the more stable carried longer. A little bit longer, a little bit more to the left. So I think my theory is intact. Love to hear what you have to say about it. Feel free to holler at me in the comments and tell me I'm completely full of crap, because yeah, that's what I'm kind of used to. Well, there you go. Might as well finish up with a different day, different outfit. And I really do think the conclusion is, if I'm not crazy, that the more stable the disc, the less it's going to roll and rotate and push farther straight on. Whereas if you use a flippy disc, you're actually going to be able to get more angles and cut around corners, which is great in the woods. If nothing else, I hope this inspired you to maybe check out some things and test some things in your own mind that maybe you think there's some gaps or you've just taken some things for granted. Figure them out for yourself so that you know what you should do with those shots. Anyway, I'm open to all the comments and the critiques and the corrections down in the comments. I'm sure I did something wrong. I tried to shoot this over multiple days to eliminate some of the chaos factor, misthrowing, doing all that stuff, but I'm sure I did some things wrong anyway. But if nothing else, this is hopefully going to push the conversation along and inspire us to figure out why the discs do what they do. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end. If you do like this stuff, please like and subscribe. That will really help me out. I'm getting close to 2,000. It's coming up in a little bit. I'm going to try to do a disc giveaway, and I just appreciate you hanging with me. And let's get out there, and I hope to see you out on the course.